Hey guys, we're back with our next episode of Sryth, our fantasy text-based RPG. Last time we were doing Proving Grounds 2, which is going through the streets of the cities of Sryth and, just getting into some battles, getting into some fights, and making a safer world altogether. This is the same day as my last couple episodes, so we can't go back and do the old man thing. We can't go back and upgrade our castle quite yet. That won't be until next week. So for now, what we're going to do is continue on the Proving Ground. So thank you so much for hanging out and joining me. Let's go. I'll move my mouse over a little bit because it blocks my things here. So we're back to the Proving Grounds. We're doing the perilous streets. We're on the last bit, so hopefully we can finish all of this in this episode, so we can finish this out for the week, and we can move on to Proving Grounds 3 next week, and then we'll be done with the Proving Grounds, and then we'll just go around doing adventures, probably most likely around the kingdom, the world. I don't know if it's just one kingdom or not. I haven't ascertained that yet. The man seated across from you at the corner table in the Silver Moon Ale House, Chana, approached you shortly after you entered and asked to have a word with you in private. Having paid for your ale, the mysterious figure whose broad-brimmed, weather-beaten hat casts a shadow that conceals the upper half of his face speaks in a hushed but earnest tone as he addresses you by name from across the table. The man addresses you by name inexplicably. This neither shocks nor unnerves you. Instead, pulling your chair closer to the table, you lean in and listen intently to what he has to say. "Time is no ally, Allison," he says. "There are forces within the city on the move, and with each passing day they grow bolder and more troublesome. I must be blunt with you. To conceal my intentions would insult a lady of your standing and do no favour to my cause." You nod, appreciating the man's candour. He turns his head to the left and to the right as he cautiously scans the alehouse crowd before continuing. "There is an insidious criminal element on the rise here," he says. "I approach you on behalf of those to whom I answer to beseech you to levy upon certain members of that element a toll in blood. These are wicked men, Allison, in thought and deed, and they must not be allowed to sink their claws into the flesh of this city, as they have done to so many others." You question the man further, and he tells you that the insidious criminal element of which he speaks is a small arm of a powerful brotherhood of thieves that has proliferated throughout the kingdom. He tells you that the thieves have recently, I was just asking if it was a kingdom, the thieves have recently begun to take control of various elements within the city and seem to operate with impunity from the rule of law. "It will require a woman of your conviction and skill to succeed against such an enterprise," he says. "Know that you will be well compensated for your efforts. I will not mislead you. The danger is great. Should you accept this task, you will be the third to set out upon it. Yet I feel that had I found you sooner, our present position might not be marked with such desperation." Although you have little to go on, save the man's word, you somehow feel confident that lending yourself to the task he has laid out will serve as a good use of your time and talents. Having made up your mind, you accept the task, eliciting a curt nod from the mysterious stranger. He places both elbows on the table and leans closer, his voice falling to a near whisper as he outlines the first mission. You learn that the first of your grim tasks for the mysterious man you have come to think of as a paymaster involves a man known as the Blade. Your instructions are to take down the dangerous road, as will be true for this mission and the others to follow. The means you employ to carry out the task is a decision I shall leave to you. Left or dead or taken alive, the fate of those I set you against is of little concern to me. With instructions on when and where to locate the Blade, you set out from the alehouse to carry out your paymaster's sentence against the unsuspecting criminal. I shall be eagerly awaiting your safe return, he says as you depart. Well, if I can take him alive, I'm going to take him alive. You're quick to locate the man known as the Blade in the eastern end of Chana's broad quayside, in the midst of a throng of rather unsavoury-looking characters. You bide your time watching the movements of this man from a distance. He seems to command a great deal of respect from those around him, and although you have seen nothing that would prove it, you sense that it's likely a fairly formidable adversary when armed. Suddenly, surrounded by three of his rugged-looking cohorts, the Blade leaves the spot he's occupied for a better part of an hour and steps into a small wooden building at the edge of the quay. Seeing this as an opportunity to confront your target out of the public eye, you move swiftly up to the wooden building and boldly step inside. Almost immediately you find yourself surrounded by three men who flank the Blade, each of the three cudgel-wielding roughs glares at you, and they demand to know the purpose of your sudden intrusion. The reason, laughs the blade, standing in the back door. The reason could be plainer. The old trickster is on our scent. Won't be the first of his lackeys we chop into bait, and quite unlikely will be the last. Killer, and let's be done with it. The first of the three cudgel-wielding thugs takes a vicious swipe at you. The fight is on. I mean, we're so much better than him. It would just be happenstance if we just killed him just because we could. The second of the three cudgel-wielding men steps forward and attacks you with a reckless ferocity. You parry the first several of his attacks before encountering with your own. No more than some pew 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 pew. Despite having witnessed you summarily dispatch your two cohorts, the third ref is not deterred. You quickly move to defend yourself against his brutal attack. That'd be messed up if you didn't kill most of them and then you killed the last one. The blade, having witnessed the convincing defeat of his two roughs, turns and flees out the back door. Before you can take up the pursuit, you find yourself confronted by a pair of sword-wielding thugs and into the building via the door through which their leader just fled. Come on, then, said the swordman as they quickly move on you. Let's have ourselves a little go-round, friend. Sure, let's have a go-round. Bounding over the fallen forms of your defeated foes, you sprint to the back door and throw it open, emerging into a small building into a wide alley. There's no sign of the man known as the blade in either direction along the alley. Fighting back their sits, rising sense of dismay, you immediately set off on a desperate search of the twisting alley that ran the length of the harbour front. Seeking any sign of your intended target, you realize that if you were to have any hope of finding him, you must do so quickly. Divination. Success. A vision forms in your mind detailing the precise location where the target is hiding. You set off without delay to confront the blade before using opportunity to escape again. Against all odds, you locate your intended target crouched behind a stack of rotting barrels at the rear of the bread house. As you draw up to him, the blade springs to his feet and turns towards you, a look of disbelief spread across his scowling face. Magic. With no place to run, your opponent draws his longsword and levels its tip at you before assuming a combative stance and taking two cautious steps towards you. You steel yourself for what you feel will be a brutal fight. I guess I should have healed before I showed up here. My enemy's unable to attack. The blade. Subdued. The blade slumps to the ground at your feet, battered into unconsciousness by your ferocious attack. Quick search of his body reveals only his longsword and some gold tokens. You're about to set out from the alley when two men suddenly appear from around the corner. The men stride up to you, acknowledge you with the curtain on and pick up the body of your unconscious foe. Without a word, the two men head off on the alley, carry their body and the lost from sight. Possibly they aren't ending to the encounter, but confident it bears a mark of your mysterious paymaster, so you quickly make your way out of the alley, head off in the direction of the Silver Moon Ale House. Your mysterious paymaster seems happy that you returned safely, and when you announce to him the success of your mission, he nods and approaches you with a pouch full of gold. Done well, Allison, he says, and yet how could I have expected differently from someone of your ability on the task? There's still much to be done, however. When you inquire about the two men who arrived in the alley and took the body of the blade, the paymaster's countenance, or what you can see of it, grows grim. Such things are best left unsaid. Not only that the trail is carefully concealed, I shall again meet with you here in 2 days' time. An alehouse servant places a frothing mug in front of you, and you quietly sip the thick, malty ale while you watch your mysterious paymaster rise from the table and swiftly depart. You're left to wonder what next lies in store for you. Victory! That's from Bun Bob, Victory Screech. The Brothers Longshire. Alright, let's go. After you find yourself seated in the corner of the Silver Moon alehouse, staring across the table at the mysterious figure in a broad-brimmed, weather-beaten hat, he drums his fingers rhythmically on the warped wooden surface as his hidden eyes carefully scan the alehouse crowd. Our move against our enemy has not gone without notice, and indeed reprisal, he says at last in hushed tone. They're not accustomed to being provoked in this manner, and are taking measures to strengthen their hand. And then the Brotherhood of Thieves of which he speaks has only yesterday returned the services of a violent, troublesome pair known as the Brothers Longshire. The brothers, Teledis and Myrick, are natives of China and have long been among the most feared residents of the city port city. They are known for their violent tempers and their skill are as armed combatants. Soon after being informed of their favorite haunt by your mysterious paymaster, you make your way to the tavern in the northern part of the city. From a nearby vantage point, you watch the tavern closely, seeking any sign of the fearsome duo. Less than an hour into the vigil, the back door of the tavern flies open and three figures spill out onto the alley. You have little trouble identifying them of two of the Longshire brothers. The pair are broad-shouldered, raven-haired brutes, savagely set upon the third man, pummeling him without mercy. You dash across the street and step boldly into the alley. "No business of yours, friend," sneers the taller of the two brothers, suddenly confronting you as you approach. "It'd be best if you turned about and carried yourself elsewhere." You recognize the brother who has spoken to you as the leaders. The other brother, Myrick, slightly shorter but with a heavier frame, continues to sail their victim, who is nearly unconscious. Teledis takes a threatening step towards you as if to add emphasis to a suggestion. When you defiantly hold your ground and quickly draw an axe. "Don't mind giving the old piece a go," he says angrily. "Don't mind at all." I mean, if there's a chance to subdue, we're gonna subdue instead of kill. Because I'm righteous. Myrick Longshire releases his grip with the collar of the badly beaten victim and lets the body slump to the ground. The man writhes with a moaning and struggles to regain his feet. Myrick presses you as he draws an axe and stops forward to revenge his defeated brother. He takes some consultation on the fact that the man that Myrick has been troubling uses the opportunity to effect an escape. He limps off, leaving you to face the last of the brothers Longshire. I mean, you could at least stay and watch and see what goes down. No, okay. Sit down. Three figures emerge from the shadows in the rear taverns, each acknowledging you with a curt nod. The men quickly drag the bodies of Myrick and Teledis out of sight and return moments later bearing the axes formerly wielded by the brothers. "They're yours if you wish to have them," says one of the men, laying both axes on the ground in front of you. "We'll dispose of the crude pair. Well done, friend." Before you can question the men, they turn and move off along the alley, holding away the bodies of the brothers Longshire. You leave the alley and make your way back to the Silver Moon alehouse. The man in the broad-brimmed, weather-stained hat slips you a bulging pouch of gold as you take a seat opposite him in the corner table in the Silver Moon alehouse. "You made quite an impression, Alison," he says. "I wish I could report that your services were no longer required, yet I cannot, for there is much yet to do. If you will indulge me, there's an urgent matter I wish to relate to you." Of course there is. There's always an urgent matter, isn't there? Alright, what is it? Let me know what it is. Seated across the table from the mysterious man you not only is your paymaster, you learn that he again wishes to strike at the Brotherhood of Thieves against which he operates. This time a man by the name of Gillibrand Farsal is to be your target. "He's a dangerous fellow, that is certain," he says. "He is known as a huntsman in the vicious circles that tolerate his murderous kind, and among his unsavory ilk he has crafted a fearsome reputation. He is a man of great physical strength and a cold-blooded killer. He is one of the brotherhood's primary enforcers, and he is your next target." You learn that Gillibrand hunts the forest east of China almost every day, and can often be found returning alone from the hunt along one of the many desolate forest roads that lead back to the city port. Oh my gosh, Port City. "Surprise will be your greatest ally in this endeavor. Gillibrand is a cautious man, but his haughtiness equals his wariness. He may underestimate the danger that a lone woman represents. Let such insolence be his undoing." That's right, it is insolence. Late afternoon, when from your vantage point on a forested slope east of China you catch your first glimpse of Gillibrand Tharsel, the huntsman. The bulky, bearded man with the broad chest and thickly muscled arms strolls slowly along the forest road, headed west toward the port city after a day-long hunt. A bow is slung over his right shoulder, and in his waist hangs a short sword. Instinct tells you that the man's fearsome reputation is well deserved. You creep down the hillside, attempting to reach the edge of the road and ambush him as he passes by. You reach the side of the road and crouch down in thick undergrowth with bated breath and your heart pounding. You watch as Gillibrand approaches along the road. When he is 3 strides past your hiding place, you spring out of the forest and attack him from behind. Come on then. Your ambush has caught Gillibrand off guard. The huntsman struggles to draw his short sword and tries to dodge your flurry of blows. Subdue. Merciful slash. Ow. Got him. You drag the unconscious Gillibone to the edge of the road and hide his body among the thick undergrowth. A quick search of his belonging reveals the following. It's near and desperate. You turn a China, you make your way through the streets of the port city and find yourself seated across the mysterious paymaster in the corner table of the Silver Moon Ale House. Before saying anything, your paymaster hands you a pouch containing a large quantity of gold. Our situation grows more dangerous, and yet with that danger arrives the glimmer of chance, he says in a hushed tone. It's almost a minute before he speaks again. It is inevitable that our enemy will choose to strike out at those they feel are responsible for these attacks against their brotherhood, he continues. And while their reprisals are certain to be no small matter, they will likely present us with an opportunity if it plays out as I suspect it might. There may be a chance to strike at the heart of the serpent while its fangs are entangled elsewhere. A swift and fatal strike, Alison, a strike that you will deliver. You want me to kill somebody? That's what you're saying. Oh, there's 3 more. Oh, let's see if we can make it. Again, you find yourself seated across the mysterious paymaster at the corner table of the Silver Moon Ale House in China. The man you have come to regard as an unseen ally, and in your secretive endeavors, shifts in his chair. And leans forward, resting his elbow as he speaks in a low, caution-laden tone. In the hour before dawn, a lone man will be awaiting the arrival of an accomplice just out the eastern gates. We believe this man can lead us to the base of operations for the thieves that assail my, or should I say, more rightly our city. It will be arranged that the accomplice for which he waits will not arrive. You, Alison, will arrive instead, and under the cover of darkness take our lurker alive. The mission seems to be straightforward enough, and as has been the case with others, but before you depart, your mysterious paymaster relays to you an ominous warning. We are so very close, Alison, he says, and indeed, this shall prove to be the most crucial hour. You will no doubt exercise all due caution, for a man in possession of the sort of information we seek is not likely to part with it willingly or easily. Spend the remainder of the day and much of the night preparing for your pre-dawn mission. The frigid morning that follows a peaceful night in the seaports finds you making your way through the trees along the edge of the broad road leading east to the mighty gates of China. Less than a quarter mile from the city gates, you came upon your intended target, milling about on the side of the road. His back pressed securely against the trunk of a towering maple stands a tall man wrapped in a deep blue cloak, his head shrouded by an oversized hood. For several minutes you remain still, watching the road carefully for the sign of anyone else approaching. The man seems oblivious to your nearby presence, and in both directions of the road nothing stirs. Let's seek. Okay, if you said it was best to avoid a direct approach and instead attempt to surprise your target customer off guard if possible. Yeah. Illusion. Use some of your power of illusion and craft a light phantasmal image of a lone figure moving towards your target along the road. The cloaked man steps away from the tree against which he has been leaning and waves to the approaching illusionary figure. By the time the target realizes something is wrong, you've already within striking distance. With hardly the sound, you still have the force to attack him from behind. Caught off guard by your sudden assault, your enemy quickly recovers and launches a counterattack. This is a mistake, fool, says the man as he draws alongside and cuts a wide arc with it, missing your head by mere inches. Crimson Flame. Wow. You're using Crimson Flame? I still win. Unconscious but still very much alive, your defeated opponent crumples to the ground at your feet. You quickly check his vital signs to make certain you haven't killed him. And when you're certain he will survive your harsh lesson, you begin to wonder what your next move will be. The sound of approaching hoof beats sends you scrambling into the forest at the edge of the road, lest you should be discovered standing over what appears to be a dead body. The men on horseback emerge out from the early morning gloom, and 2 of them slip from the saddle and move over the body of the cloaked man. 2 men look at each other and nod. They lift the body and sling it over the back of the horse of the still bears its right after taking a moment to secure the weighty load with a stout length of rope. One of the men slaps the horse haunch, sending it and its rider along the road to the city at a good clip. Suddenly, when the man turns in your direction and thumbs the brim of his hat with the word, the 2 remaining horsemen remount their steeds and speed off in the direction of the departed cohort. Happy to be done with the grim endeavor, and certain that your mysterious paymaster will know of your mission's success before you can relate to him, you set out from the west along the road, heading towards the towering east of all of the looming seaport. Your paymaster drops a heavy pouch of gold in your lap as he passes by behind you and takes his familiar seat across from you in the corner table in the Silver Moon alehouse. The serpent's nest will soon be revealed, he says. The man you took down is thick with the thieves. You quickly learn the benefit of truthful divulgence, and thus the heart of our enemy's operations will be laid bare. A final task in the service of the cause for which I stand is all I ask, Allison. Victory is near, and the treacherous enemy teeters on the brink of ruin. Yet you must not overplay our hand. Meet me here again tomorrow evening. Okay. I'm gonna meet you here tomorrow. We're gonna find a revelation that this guy's the head of the stuff. A cool afternoon and rapidly fading in the chill dusk when you again find yourself seated in the corner table at the Silver Moon Ale House. Across the wooden surface from you sits the mysterious Payless. The shadow cast by his broad-brimmed, weather-stained hat concealing almost half of his face, and his fingers drumming the table in steady rhythm. You take the fight to the heart of this snake, he says, leaning forward. You take the fight to the heart of this snake, he says, leaning forward to rest on his elbows. The last man you brought down was worth 1,000 thieves rotting in a dungeon wall, for his story is this the nest that spawns this vermin. Into the lair I must ask you to go, Allison, to rid us of the thief lord and all of his ilk that crawl from shadows of that place. The force of 100 armed men, and I were less eager to trust with this mission. There is something else too, something more sinister than we might have ever guessed. And under the base of operations for the band of thieves that plague the seaport is a watchtower along one of the woodlands east of the city. The paymaster tells you that the tower is manned by city guardsmen. A fact that greatly disturbs them does mean that thieves are receiving help from traders within the city. This sounds very much like a trick. You'll take special care on this one, Allison. The deceit and corruption that a captive's story reveal can lead soon to run deep. Until the mission is carried out, we will be foolish to trust any place as safe, and foolish to believe the secrecy of even the faintest of our whispers. The prospect of having to infiltrate the watchtower so firmly in the grip of the enemy weighs heavily in your mind, but when the paymaster next speaks, you find your spirit is somewhat buoyed by what he has to say. You learn that for the information provided by the captive thief, the paymaster cause was able to track down and apprehend a messenger who they believe has been bearing news of events within the city to those in the watchtower. Luckily for us, the particular messenger was a woman just about your size, he says. From across the table, he hands you a grey cloth bundle tied with a string and tells you that these are the garments of the messenger, which you can employ as part of the disguise, which will hopefully help in the effort to gain entrance to the thieves' lair. The paymaster tells you that the messenger's name is Berexa, and you quickly commit the name to memory. There's no doubt the most perilous of the missions I've yet sent you on. I don't want to have to remind you to be careful, Allison, for while great danger is great, the cost of failure is greater. Our enemy will soon know that we are on the trail, and we may not be afforded a second chance like this. Outfitted in the garb of the messenger, Rexa, you set out on your mission to infiltrate the watchtower and take down the thief lord and his mage lurk therein. Dusk is given way to the edge of night when you pass through an eastern gate of China. The watchtower is nearly 5 miles to the east, sitting alongside one of the main roads leading west into the city. As the walls of the seaport slip into the darkness behind you, you mutter a quick prayer and set off on what you believe is your final mission for the man who knows only as your paymaster. The short journey to the watchtower passes without incident, and as you near the structure, you take note of the glow of the fire emanating from the top windows. 2 guards, each clad in chainmail, and their tabards embroidered with the insignia of China, stand watch at the edge of the road. Sneak past. You pass silently through the shadows and make straight to the door of the watchtower, praying that every step that your stealthy approach goes unnoticed. You reach the door without being seen, and after pausing a few seconds, where the guards have both turned their heads along the road, you quietly open the door and slip inside. The ground floor of the watchtower is empty, and you are immediately thankful not to have to deal with any further guards for the moment. The set of stone steps takes up along the wall to the tower's second story. You cautiously climb the wide stair, emerging moments later in an also empty second level. From here, the wooden ladder ascends to the wooden trapdoor that seals a circular port cut into the ceiling above, some 15 feet above your head. You rarely make the climb, seating yourself at what might lie through the door above. You reach the top of the ladder and carefully push open the trapdoor. It falls away from your grasp and lands with a loud clap on the stone floor of the tower's third level. You step up through the portal and find yourself standing at the base of the set of steps leading up to the tower's top floor. Two burly men, guardsmen, step forward and confront you. You're not Verexa, sneers one of the guards. Both guys draw their short sword and attack. I have to kill, huh? That's a shame, because this is a trap. The second guardsman has hit the stone floor, where he's thrashing about, riling with those of death becoming still. Quickly check up your equipment and about to start on the steps when you suddenly throws the point of knife It is pressed firmly into your back. Move but one muscle not carve out your lungs. There's a thin set of voice from behind you. Though you not believe this to be an idle threat, you realize that you must act not like no good will likely come of remaining the mercy of an unseen foe. Inhale deeply, close your eyes, and the next instant you are sprung into action. Into the difficult maneuver, you help will disarm your unseen assailant. You twist to your left and bring your hand down upon the wrist of your foe, listening to a cry of pain as your lightning fast bow sends his long bladed knife crashing to the floor. You step back, bring your eyes up to look upon your unknown assailant. A slight man, thick grey hood covering his head and shadowing his face, stands less than 3 arms length from you. Yet the unknown assailant quickly draws a short sword and attack. Alright, death. Step back from the body. Your following enemy are trying to catch his breath when suddenly the door at the top of the stairs opens, and a large man clad in a suit of chain armor steps to the narrow landing. He closes the door behind himself and begins to make his way down the stairs. The large man appears to be in no great hurry, neither bleeding, though nothing would take place here. Hide! You duck into the shadows near the foot of the stairs. Halfway down the stairs, the man suddenly stops, his eyes widen, and look upon the 3 bodies strewn about the floor. He just short sword and continues down the stairs, his eyes scouring the shadows. The man gaze passes right over you, and his eyes laugh at you. You've been discovered. You quickly assume a defensive stance. The man charges you, swinging his sword wildly. The large man at last succumbs to death, his lifeless body slumping to the floor of the chamber. Leaving this corpse-strewn chamber below, you swiftly make your way to the stairs to the wooden door. You listen for several moments when you press the timbers but hear nothing on the other side. Cautiously open the door, step into the dimly lit chamber below. A staggering pain shoots the length of your spine. A sharp blow to the back of the head with a heavy object drop you to the knees. Though blowing vision, you know the terror of a leather boot appearing to your left as everything goes black. Told you it was a trap. That's what happens when your game characters don't listen to you. Alright, this is the end, you guys. Hopefully it's quick, because we only have about 3 minutes, but if it goes a little over to 10 more minutes or so, that's fine too. You wake to find yourself outside in a woodland clearing, surrounded by nocturnal sounds of the forest and a ring of 7 shadowy figures. One of the figures surrounds you, raises a lantern illuminating his gaunt, age-worn face. Your head aches violently and you're quick to discover that your hands and feet are bound with thick rope. 2 sets of hands take hold of you and roughly drag you to your feet. The man bearing the lantern steps forward to address you. A feat of no small proportion, and a lesson we shall not soon forget. He smiles, a mock sentiment sending a shiver of length of your spine. You would have been a fine addition to our ranks had we found you first, but no matter, as it is far too dangerous to be left to your own devices. What tonight is truly a victory, he continues. At last we can have an end to all this silly bloodshed. After all, in addition to you, you found the root to our problem. It seems only prudent we remove you both, don't you think? The man motions to his hand, and two of the men surrounding you depart, only to return moments later with another bound figure. The second captive steps forward and falls to the ground at the feet of the man with the lantern. As the bound and gagged man raises his head and is shocked to the core by the familiar face that stares up at you. The bound and gagged man on the ground on the feet of the captive is none of the men you've come to know as your paymaster. His face bears marks of ill treatment in the hands of these men, but in his eyes you sense steely resolve that is unbroken. The man holding the lantern stoops down next to your paymaster, brightly illuminating his face and giving you a second, even more profound shock. The face bathed in the light of the lantern is one that is known to you, indeed all of China. It's the face of Thane Monrel. It's a Thane, taking matters into his own hands, quite industrious, says the captor. A Thane, huh? I'm friends with Thane Pyron, so I'm no stranger to being friends with Thanes and doing their dirty work. No matter, both of you shall die here tonight. I must admit I have reservations about killing a Thane, but so be it. The way I see it, we're all murderers here. I just happen not to have a lofty title or a high wall to protect me yet. And a sharp blows the back of Thane's head renders him unconscious. Your mind races you, attempt to find a glimmer of hope amidst the grim prospect of looming death. Kill us slowly, orders the gaunt-faced man as you perch to the ground from behind. Use the lash. I want to hear every last whimper. You grit your teeth and steel yourself from an imminent attack. With a sharp crack of the tails of the lash bite into the flesh of your back, causing you to cry in pain. Survive the brutal attack. You realize unless you find a way to break free your bonds, you'll surely perish. I'm thinking I want to do thievery, since we're in the humble abode of thieves here. Able to reach your set of thieves' tools, you nimbly position a thin, saw-like blade between your 2 fingers and rapidly set to work in your bonds. Another blow from the lash is on its way when you suddenly roll to your back and spring to your feet, shaking off several remains of the rope that binds you in one fluid motion. You turn to face the man wielding the lash. The man wielding the lash takes a step back as you turn to face him with a shout for him to finish you off. In the wake of your words, his courage seems to grow, and he slowly begins to circle you, waiting for the opportunity to strike. No sooner the corpse of the lash-wielding foe struck the ground, you were set upon by two dagger-wielding thieves without a word. The skilled pair thrust their deadly blades at you in vicious attack. Not deterred by the three men you set to the grave, the man wielding a heavy iron rod steps forward and takes a swipe at you. You dodge its initial attack and counter with your own, the ferocity of which seems to have caught him off guard. With bodies mounting your feet, you begin to hope that remaining of your captors will think better of continuing their assault, but it appeared that you were in no such luck. Three caped men, each wielding long-handled wooden cudgels, rush at you from out of the shadows. All they're dead. Only the gaunt-faced man bearing the lance of the apparent leader of the vicious blood of these remains. He turns to flee, but as he does, he pauses and hurls who knows at you. The speeding blades hurtle towards you with deadly accuracy. Purification. Both knives glance harmlessly off an invisible barrier you've erected. You spring forward and grab hold of the man's tunic, spinning him around and arresting his flight. The gaunt-faced man draws a short sword and strikes at you with the blade missing to the left side of your face by barely an inch. Till it becomes obvious you're facing a skilled and deadly combatant. Oh, now he's dead. The master thief tops to the ground, his eyes flicker briefly as he expires. You drop to one knee, winded by the emotion of the brutal melee, and when you recover sufficiently, make quick search for his body. Okay, sure, give it to me. The moment of darkness to the right returns to your feet, and you rush over to the side of the bound Thane. Thane Monroe has barely gained consciousness when you reach his side, but after a few moments his eyes open fully, and he is able to speak. You quickly cut him free of his bonds and help him sit up. I almost felt foolish for having concealed my identity from you, he says, his voice weak but unwavering. I saw only the last victory, I'm afraid. But by the number of dead strewn about, I would say you did a rather admirable job of giving the taste of a true fight. Yes, sir. You help the Thane to his feet, and after a few minutes, he seems to have regained much of his strength. He tells you that he was caught off guard while leaving the Silver Moon Ale House and was overpowered by 4 men who captured him, bound him, and brought him here. You must understand, Alison, this is never my intention to mislead you. He said, concealing my identity from you and from others was crucial to the success of this cause, and I dare say success has been achieved. Still, it is a victory that none must ever know about. I shall have my men see to it the watchtower is fully searched and this scene of battle cleaned up. No one will ever learn what transpired here. Then Monroe walks with you along the winding forest path back to the watchtower. I may never again have a chance to speak with you, Alison, he says as you arrive at the roadside, and therefore I would like to thank you now, as if gratitude could be enough. For only by your hand was this outcome possible. You have spared the entire city the wrath of these vipers, and on behalf of those who will never know of their protector, I thank you. The extra thing, if he needs any further assistance, he will likely decline your offer and tells you to return to the city. You've earned some rest, to say the very least. I'm going to linger about here just a bit longer. Go now and find yourself an alehouse with a stout brew. Might I suggest a Silver Moon? I hear the corner table offers a fine draught off the fire. With a smirk, you bid the Thane farewell and begin the dark and only trek back to the seaport. In the days that follow, you defeated the thieves of Watchshire, the city guards, and trying to score several important victories over the scattered remains of the vicious brotherhood. Not long after the final mission of your paymaster, you paid a visit by messenger bearing a package marked by the Thane Monroe's personal seal. Inside the package, your shop discovered a large quantity of gold. As the weeks go by, stories begin to circulate throughout China about the mysterious hero who took out the master thief and his henchman in the forest outside the city walls. When you hear such stories, you can't help but smirk. Experience has taught you that such fantastic tales are best taken with a grain of salt. You've successfully completed the final scenario in the second Sryth Proving Ground events. For your heroic efforts, you've earned the following reward. 100% boo. That's what I like to say. 100%. Alright, yeah, we finished it. Not too much overtime. Good. Before I go, what I do want to do is look at some of my skills here. I'm thinking about what I can level up. I have enough for Arcana, Diplomacy, Lore, Seamanship. Definitely one of the 86 ones. I think I'm using Stabbing Weapon. No, I'm using a Slashing Weapon. I can't train it right now. I don't even know what Arcane is for. It's to find hidden knowledge, I think. You want to train diplomacy. There we go. You don't have any room to train any powers. No. So let's save the game there. Hey, so that's the end of this Proving Ground. Like I said, next time we'll go into Proving Grounds 3 and that'll be the last one. Hey, thanks so much for hanging out and reading with me. Till next time, you know what I'm going to say. Peace. Peace, 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 peace.